guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new entitled people content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled "A Customer Freaks Out After Seeing a Pride Flag in My Bakery." Hello. I'm a straight mom. My daughter came out as a lesbian not so long ago, so I've been showing support in many ways, including placing a little pride flag next to the cash register in my bakery. Nothing had changed at work, but yesterday a woman from around my age came in. She seemed normal at first, took a look at some cakes, and then approached me and asked for a birthday cake. We spoke about what she wanted, discussed prices, and she was about to pay in full in advance to get it done, and then noticed the pride flag. She said, "What is that?" I kindly answered, "A rainbow flag." Then, she went from normal to furious in a second, shouting, "Take that out, don't want to see it." Dumbfounded, I asked, "Is there a problem with it?" She said, "You are infringing my religious freedom." I was about to ask how that infringes her religious freedom, when got interrupted by, "Are you one of them?" I answered, "No, I'm not, but someone I care for is." Then "Who is it?" At this point she was on my face, but I replied with, "That is not your business." She stepped back and said, "I won't buy anything from a duck. You just lost a customer, you duck." Fortunately, she left, but still shocked me. I had to get off the counter to get some fresh air. It really felt bad to be insulted like that out of nowhere. I later told my husband what happened. He said that it's for the better if that woman never comes back. We both agreed to do not tell our daughter, since it might be heartbreaking for her. I've been professionally baking for years, and this is the first time it happens. Sure, we got some crazy bridezillas in the past, but nobody called me a slur. Is this what queer people have to endure daily? Just thinking about it makes me sad. The next story is titled "I Told My Horrible Cousin I Wouldn't Be the Maid of Honor and I Don't Feel Bad About It." I, 27F, have a cousin, 26F, with whom I had a remarkably close relationship to the point that we were like sisters. That all changed when she was responsible for incidents that to this day made me reconsider our cousin-sister relationship. In 2012, when I was 16, she gave me a strong relaxer that caused me to cut off 14 inches of hair. For context, I used to relax my hair and it was always soft or regular since I have fine hair. Her reasons? Because she started dating my ex and he would not stop talking about my hair or my natural beauty. She stole friends, and possible boyfriends, turned family members against me, would rub in my face that she was my grandmother's favorite, made fun of me for going back to my curly hair, mocked me for losing my older brother, slept with my ex while on the process of moving together. She made a post on FB mocking me for giving birth to my dead baby while 7 months pregnant. She even left threatening notes and a ducking voodoo doll on my car. I can keep going, but I do not want to make this any longer by explaining how ducked up she is. I tried to get a restraining order on her, but the police thought I did not have enough evidence. I had texts of her admitting to doing it, but it was not enough, or as one police told me, it could be faked. So, I blocked her from all my social media and blocked her number, and the only times I would only see her were at family gatherings. But I would avoid her since I did not want her situation in my life or avoid her not to have my mental health triggered by her. So, in June she got engaged to my ex, 33M, and I found out from family members. For context, I found them together, and instead of screaming and crying, I laughed and told them to enjoy my sloppy seconds. So, my aunt was celebrating her anniversary with a barbecue, meaning I would see her. I went and I was having an enjoyable time, but when at the table one of my aunts asked her how the wedding planning was going, and she could not help but brag that it was good and now she had an announcement, and she looked at me with a devil smile. She asked me in front of anyone if I wanted to be her maid of honor since thanks to me, they both met. I was cold and told her no. She whined about why not, and all I gave her was a look, and she said that is time for me to put effort into fixing our sister-cousin relationship. I laughed and told her that by the time she is having her wedding I would be in college finals, and after that a month-long trip for my anniversary, and it was better than seeing two clowns getting married. Plus I told her the reasons I said no, plus the little spoiled girl wants a Christmas wedding. She started crying and yelled that if I do not do this that I am not invited to the wedding. I looked at her and said coldly fine by me and walked away, leaving her with a surprised Pikachu face. I have not spoken to her since that day, but all my family members support me since they all saw how much a horrible person she is. The next story is titled Guy Asking for Donations Writes in 20x the amount I offered to donate. The other week I was in a Target with my roommate. A man holding a clipboard approaches us gesturing for us to sign. At first glance it's a petition for a center for the deaf to be built in our area. Of course I'm like, well yeah, that would be nice, I'll sign. Then, he uncovers the part of the clipboard he had been strategically covering that is the donation amount you're offering. Frankly, I had no money to donate at all. I had maybe $30 in the bank because I'm a broke college kid that has a limited amount of time to go to work. But I felt bad and pressured, so I held up the number 5 and tried to fill that in. He did not like this. He took the pen from me and wrote in $100. Which I quite literally don't have. I gestured stop, no, and emphasized $5. He glared, then pointed between me and my roommate, who hadn't offered to donate at all, and circled the 100 on his clipboard, then started walking away and gesturing for us to follow to pay. I was anxious and freaking out and started following, but my roommate dragged me away. Luckily for me, the sign sheet only had my name on it and no other personal information, but the entire thing freaked me out for the rest of the day and disillusioned me to donations at the moment. The next story is titled Am I the A-hole for calling the cops on my neighbor and kids? Preface: we live in a condominium with buildings close together. There is parking that runs between houses. About a week ago, as I was leaving our condo to pick up my wife, there was a man shooting a compound bow across the parking lot through an empty stall, with cars on either side, across a sidewalk at a Target sitting next to the building next to ours. My car was parked next to one of the cars next to the open stall. The bow wasn't the most powerful, I'm guessing a 50-pound draw. I walk out and ask if he's shooting it. He said yes. I told him he can't be shooting a bow in the parking lot. He said, "What do you care? You don't even live here." I told him I did, and pointed to my house, the one I just walked out of. Hindsight, probably shouldn't have told him what one was mine. He said he was told he could do this. I told him it was dangerous to be shooting in between the cars. He angrily gathered his stuff and said, "Are you kidding me?" I told him no, and if I saw him doing it again I would call the WA. Wish I had said I would call the police. I get in my car and leave for 20 minutes. I came back and he was gone, so I thought it was over. This morning I look out the window and see 2 adults and 3 kids ranging from about 3 to 11-ish. The 2 adults and 2 older kids had a bow. They were standing in the same spot shooting across the parking lot through cars at a Target, this time sitting on the sidewalk next to the communal mailbox. So I called 911. A few minutes later the cops showed up. They gathered their bows and target and went inside. I did notice the adults pointing at our door, obviously angry. We looked up the local law and shooting a bow within city limits counts as discharge of a deadly weapon. They were shooting where kids play, and even if they were careful, things happen. I feel like I was in the right, but Aida? Comment said, "Not the a-hole. I wish you were my neighbor. Good job." Neighbor was a complete shooting arrows in a shared parking lot. I hope that they learned a lesson and quit doing it. Next time, don't confront. Just call 911. Another comment said, "Not the a-hole. Grew up with bow hunters and you were right to call on them, as what they were doing is extremely reckless and dangerous. You made a mistake of telling him you would call and pointing out where you live. If you can, set up cameras ASAP, as they may retaliate against your house and/or vehicle." The next story is titled Claim My Music as Yours? Have fun trying to remake it. I met my roommate in college 5 years ago. We were both going for studio engineering and music production. We became great friends almost instantly. We would often share beats with one another and also collaborate on some projects together. At one point we were marketing ourselves as a duo for music production. We were trying to get noticed by more famous artists in our area. We made trap and R&B beats. Some local artists have used our beats, but no one major. Here is a quick side note. Whenever we would send out beats, we would send them .wav files, and it would always be in a loop, never the complete beat. Never the actual project file. This protected us from thieves. During the holidays I went home, he stayed behind. I sent him over a loop, in a .wav file. A few hours I'm on Snapchat, he is in a studio with a local artist playing my loop. At first I'm super stoked. I try to FaceTime my roommate, he doesn't answer. He just sends me a message saying, "Send over the project file." I tried to FaceTime him again, he doesn't answer. Right away I know what he's trying to do. So instead, I go over to the local artist Instagram and check his story. It's him in the studio with my roommate. The artists say, "Yeah, I'm here in the studio about to hop on this track that my man, insert my roommate's name, made." Now I'm livid. I tried calling my roommate again, he answers, and my first question was, "Why is he saying that's your beat?" My roommate just says, "You know how it is man, just send over the project file so I can arrange it for him, he's ready to go right now." I hang up and never send the file over. He calls me over 20 times, then he sends me a message saying, "That's ducked up, that could have been our big break. You know he knows PPL and ATL, and NYC. I was going to tell him it wasn't mine. Duck you bro, you just ruined us. Now he left, you made us look stupid." I didn't respond. Instead, I messaged the artist explaining the situation and told him I could be in his area if he really wanted the beat. I told him I lived 20 minutes outside the city and could be there. I'm about an hour. Now remember, this is a local artist, no one famous by any means. He does know people, but he himself is not famous. So, he responds and tells me to come through. I play the full beat for him. He said he wasn't feeling it anymore. Which artists say a lot. He then goes on to tell me that my roommate tried for hours to remake my beat but couldn't even figure out the drum pattern. That's how he knew he lied about the beat being his. He even called him out, and my roommate still said it was his but that he was drinking and smoking when he made it. Now he will never trust him again, and he told all his homies to do the same. Now local artist doesn't want to work with my roommate because they don't know if what he brings is stolen or not. Which everyone knows in the music world is a bad idea. Bottom line, doesn't try and steal from me. But now I got to find a new place to live. The next story is titled "Won't Give Me Personal Space?" Enjoy this airdrop. Obligatory posting from mobile warning, so sorry for formatting. And while English is my first language, my fingers are often faster than my brain. So, excuse any typos, omitted words. So, I was reminded of this recently as my mother-in-law for Christmas got us tickets to Disneyland. It's 2017, and personal space wasn't as big of a deal like it is today. We were with family at Disneyland, close and extended. My oldest was 7. If you've been to Disneyland, then you'll know there is a Buzz Lightyear ride, right by the space rockets. It was taking forever to move in the line. Lots of kids in our group wanted to ride the Lightyear ride. And not a single kid could go solo. So as parents we had suffer the wait with them. We got to the point where we weren't moving and my oldest wanted to ride the rockets. We could see them from our place in line. Wait for the rockets was as long it took the previous riders to get off, more or less. Tired of waiting, oldest and I jumped out the Lightyear line and stood for the rockets. There were maybe half a dozen people in front of us and they just loaded the rockets, so we had a little wait. Behind us comes along a mom and her daughter. This girl was younger than my kid, but not by much. Again, it's 2017 and apparently personal space has not been introduced to this duo at this time. 2020 was probably very hard for them. Now what I haven't mentioned is that I was on my period. And I tend to be a bit gassy when I am. I was basically waiting to get on this ride and drop a silent but deadly in the air. It would get dispersed midair as we whirled away. No one needed to suffer. This mom and daughter kept stepping closer to us, their fronts pressed against our backs. We'd take a step forward to put more space, they'd scoot in more. Her daughter started to dance in front of us, between us, just generally not being minded. They weren't in danger of not making the next load of passengers. Don't know why they insisted on doing this. I got the feeling the mom was trying to use her kid to cut in front. "Oh, my child in front of you now, I'll just get in front of you and stay." We'd seen it happen in a few other lines earlier that day. I turned around and politely asked them not to crowd us, to give us some personal space. Also, for the sake of their noses, if they bumped me, my chamber was loaded and just waiting. Just to take a step back, the people behind them had given them enough room to do so. The mother proceeded to snap, that it didn't matter, it was crowded, the park. Maybe, this ride. No, and so on. Just generally being a jerk about the whole thing. I asked her to keep her daughter with her then. Gave the excuse that if she fell she could get hurt. This she obliged with much murmuring. I decided the next time they got too close I'd let my silent but deadly fart loose, because that's the kind I get on my period, so I made sure my kid stayed in front of me. No unnecessary casualties needed. Didn't have to wait long. Felt them push into my back one last time, and the package was dropped. What I didn't know was it was the daughter who bumped me, and her face was the same height as my derriere. So, I let it go, and this little girl went, "Ew." Then the mom made a noise once she got a whiff of it. They took more than a few steps back and found a rocket to ride on the opposite side from us. The next story is titled Adult Man Tells His Mommy on Me, Then Hits Me Up on a Dating App. I had a lady come down asking for my assistance in her room due to a disagreement between herself and her boyfriend. She said he had caused property damage to the hotel and she just wanted someone there in the room with them while he packed a bag to leave so nothing else was damaged. I grabbed the cordless and head up as there was 2 of us on desk that day anyways. I get to the room with her and I just chill in the living room while the guy is in the bedroom packing his bag and speaking quietly on the phone. I don't go near him as he isn't doing anything to cause alarm at this time and is packing a bag to leave. I can't hear a single thing he is saying and just make small talk with the female and her kids. 10 minutes into me waiting up there, a woman barges in as the door was not completely shut and she starts going off on the other lady and myself, saying she heard her son tell me multiple times to get out of the room and how I was being rude and talking crap back to him. At this time the man comes out of the bedroom with his bag packed and starts getting on me too, claiming everything she is saying to me is correct. I'm bewildered how this went from me quietly being there to make sure no damage happens to hotel property to getting yelled and screamed at. They demand I leave the room and I have officially called the cops. Not only have I called the cops, but a few rooms down heard it too and called. I stay in the room still, as I had noticed some hotel items damaged in the room earlier. I stay on the line with police, while this lady still yells and screams in my face until one finally appears in the doorway. He enters, I get off the phone, and ask to be let out of the room since there is police there now to make sure no damage happens to the room. He lets me out. Another officer comes up and asks me for my side on what happened. I explain everything to him and let him know the lady is not allowed on our premises after she leaves with her son. I get on the elevator, which so happens to have my coworker on it, as she was coming up to see if I was all right. 30 minutes have passed by this time, and she asks what has happened. I look at her and literally just broke down. Straight up panic attack. Took me a good 2 hours to fully be okay again. Funny thing is, not even 2 months later, the guy hit me up on a dating app. I told him to go check on his mama, see if she has yelled at any more FTs since me, and blocked him. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.